Armand had everything people said they wanted. He had a tall glass office with his name on the top. He had a driver, a personal assistant, and a team that moved when he spoke. He had a watch that shone under bright lights, and a penthouse that stared down at the city like a quiet king. Still, when he woke up in the morning and when he went to sleep at night, the silence in his life felt heavy. It was not a loud kind of emptiness. It was the soft kind, the kind that sits in a chair near the window and says nothing. He was good at making plans and keeping promises to investors. He met targets, numbers, and deadlines. He remembered flights and figures. But he did not remember the last time he laughed in a room that was not a meeting. He did not remember the last time he told someone a story just to share a piece of himself. His days were full, but his heart felt light in the wrong way, like it was missing weight. He took long walks on his balcony and stared at the small lights of other people's windows. Families moved behind those lights. He did not. On this particular evening, the city wore rain like a long gray coat. The sky was a deep blue that looked almost black, and the restaurant's warm lamps made soft pools of gold on the wet sidewalk. Armand was at his usual table by the window. The tablecloth was white and smooth. The glass of water was cold with a tiny ring of moisture under it. The food was perfect, tender, fine, carefully made. He ate slowly, not because he wanted to savor it, but because there was no reason to hurry. No one waited for him at home. The staff knew him by now. They were kind, respectful, and careful. The manager nodded when he came in. The server kept his distance, but noticed when the water glass needed a refill. Armand was easy. He never complained, never sent anything back, and always left a tip that made the staff share a small smile. He did not do it to feel generous. He did it because it felt like the right thing to do, and because he liked the idea that someone would walk home feeling a little lighter. He understood numbers, and one number he liked was enough. He could have eaten more, but he stopped when he felt full. He had learned a quiet rule when he was young. Stop before you want to. It keeps you grateful. His mother had taught him that. She would say, "Leave a little room. Leave a little kindness." It had been a long time since he heard her voice out loud, but some days her voice felt closer than the city itself. When the server asked if he wanted to wrap the rest, Armand nodded. He never liked to waste food. He always took the leftovers, even if most nights he would not touch them again. Outside, the rain came down steady, soft, and honest. It made a music he could not hear from inside, but he could see it in the way the street shimmered. It looked like the city had polished itself for a visitor who never arrived. Armand stared at his reflection in the window. His hair was a little more silver at the sides. He still stood straight, but there was a new gentleness around his eyes that he did not remember choosing. When he blinked, the man in the glass blinked back with a look that asked a quiet question he did not know how to answer. He signed the bill and tucked the food into a neat paper bag with a small logo on it. The bag felt warm in his hand, a little square of comfort. The manager stopped by to say goodnight. "Drive safe, sir," he said. Armand smiled and said, "Thank you." He spoke softly, the way people do when they do not want to break a stillness that feels clean. He put on his coat. The weight of it pressed gently on his shoulders, and in some small way he liked that. It made him feel present, like the coat was saying, "You are here." The door opened, and the city sent in a breath of damp air. The smell of rain came alive, wet stone, warm food, and the faint scent of coffee from somewhere nearby. He stepped out under the awning. The streetlights were halos on the sidewalk. Cars moved forward in patient lines, sending up sprays as they passed. The driver was around the corner, and Armand lifted his phone to text him. Then he lowered it again. There was no need to rush. He liked that small space between the restaurant and the car. The small walk in the rain-soaked air that made him feel like a person, not just a position. He took a few steps and heard something, very small and human in the sound of the rain. It was the hush of feet shuffling, the kind of sound shoes make when they are trying not to be heard. He looked to the side and noticed two small figures standing close to the wall where the awning kept a little square of dry ground. They were not speaking. They were just there, quiet, patient, like they had been taught to wait until someone noticed them. They stood shoulder to shoulder, the way two people do when the world feels large. Armand paused. The bag in his hand felt warmer now, as if it understood the moment before he did. He saw that the two figures were little girls, maybe 7 or 8 years old. They were twins. That was clear right away. They had the same small height, the same soft shape to their faces, and the same careful hands folded together. Their clothes were simple and clean, though the sleeves were a bit short, and the hems looked like they had been sewn again by a hand that did its best. They were not messy or loud. They were simply waiting, like two candles that do not know how to ask for a match. Something in Armand's chest opened and did not close again. He was used to people who rushed toward him with plans and papers, people with goals and offers. He was used to "sir" and "please review" and "urgent." He was not used to two small girls who only stood still. He felt a mix of care and uncertainty. He did not want to scare them. He did not want to ignore them. He just wanted to do the right thing, but the right thing was not a line item or a budget. It was a choice in the rain. He stepped a little closer, keeping space, and nodded as if to say hello without words. The girls looked up together, the way twins often do. One move, one breath, two souls. Their eyes were large and clear. Streetlight rested gently on their faces. Their hair was tied back simply, with little elastic bands that had lost their color but not their purpose. One girl held a small plastic container with a snap lid, empty and clean. The other girl held her hand and squeezed it, as if to share courage from one palm to another. The server inside opened the door again for another guest, and warm light fell across the entrance and touched the twins for a second. In that brief light, Armand saw their faces more clearly. He saw the careful way they stood, the patience they practiced, the way they tried to be good in a world that did not always make it easy. He felt something like a memory rise inside him, not of a place, but of a feeling, a softness he had known when he was younger, when life was small enough to hold. He thought about his own evenings. He thought about how he often placed leftovers in his refrigerator and how they sometimes went untouched because meetings ran late or hunger never returned. He thought about how food was a kind of language and how sharing it was sometimes the only sentence a person needed to say, "I see you." He looked at the bag in his hand. It was heavy with more than food now. It was heavy with choice. He felt calm. There was no meeting to attend. There was no calendar widget to move. There was only this small moment under an awning with two little girls wearing quiet hope. The rain made a soft thread of sound that tied the street together. Armand took one more step, then bent slightly so his eyes were closer to theirs, as though the world might feel safer if everyone met in the same air. He did not rush to speak. He let the silence stay and be friendly. He let the steady beat of the rain count a few heartbeats. Then he smiled, and the smile was not the one he used for photographs or deals. It was smaller and truer, like the smile he had as a boy when someone shared half a mango with him on a hot day. He held out the bag just a little, not all the way, but enough that the girls could see it was there, that it was warm, that it was meant to be shared. The girl with the empty container looked at her sister, and her sister gave the smallest nod. Armand could see they were trying to be polite, to do the right thing even in this surprise. He respected that. He saw the strength it takes to ask. He saw the softness it takes to wait. It made something inside him steady, as if his heart had found the right place to stand. He did not know their names. He did not know their story. He did not know where they would go after this, or how long they had been standing there in the rain's edge. He only knew that this was a moment with weight, and he wanted to carry it well. He looked at them again, really looked, the way a person looks when he wants to remember. Their eyes were bright and gentle. In that light, they seemed to hold a quiet world of their own, one with rules like kindness and words like please and thank you, and dreams that were not loud but were real. His driver turned the car onto the street, slowing near the curb. Headlights slid across the wet pavement, and then softened. Armand did not wave yet. He stayed in the small circle of dry ground and felt the warm bag in his hand, the cool air on his face, and the steady presence of two little girls who were brave in a way adults often forget. He breathed in. He felt present. He felt awake. He felt something close to gratitude for a moment that asked him to be human first and important second. He spoke then, quietly, so his voice would not break the softness of the evening. He did not rush the words. He wanted them to be simple and true. The girls shifted their feet, just a fraction, as if the ground itself were telling them it was okay. The rain kept its song. The city kept its light. The dode with a gentle. Armand did not speak first. He let the quiet stay warm. The twins held their hands close to their sides and looked up with steady eyes. Then one of them took a small breath and said in a careful voice, "May we have your leftovers?" The words were simple and kind. There was no push in them, only a soft wish. Armand felt the sentence land in his heart like a small bird landing on a branch. It was gentle, but clear. He nodded as if someone had asked him for the time. He lifted the paper bag with both hands, not in a grand way, but in a respectful way, like he was passing something special. "Yes," he said softly. "Please take it." The girl with the empty container opened the snap lid and held it steady. The other girl reached forward with two hands and took the bag. She did not pull it fast. She took it slowly, the way people take something they value. Armand noticed how careful their fingers were, how they tried not to waste even the small warmth trapped inside the paper. Steam drifted from the opening when they peeked inside, and their faces changed in a tiny, beautiful way. Their shoulders relaxed, their eyes brightened. Their mouths made an O of surprise, not big, just enough to show an honest joy. Armand felt his own face soften. He watched as they split the food neatly, half into the container, half still in the bag. They were not thinking only of themselves. They were thinking of someone else too. "Thank you," the first girl said. She had a small voice with a brave center. "We will take some for Mama." The second girl nodded, as if to add a second thank you without words. Armand heard the word Mama, and it made something in him turn toward memory. His own mother would have smiled at this gentleness. He looked at the twins again, more fully now. Their eyes were bright, dark brown with tiny gold flecks near the center. They were eyes that held stories, the kind that stayed with a person. He felt a question rise. "Are you cold?" he asked. The rain had slowed, but the air was still wet and cool. The girls shook their heads politely, but he noticed the small shiver that ran through their sleeves. He glanced back at the door. The restaurant was not busy now. The manager would not mind if he asked for 2 cups of hot soup to go. "Would you like something warm to drink? Soup? Bread?" he offered. He spoke the way someone offers a chair. No pressure, only welcome. The twins looked at each other. They seemed to speak without moving their lips, as if they had practiced this kind of quiet talk many times. Then they nodded. "Yes, please," the first one said. "If it is okay." Armand's smile grew. "It is okay," he said. He stepped back inside for a moment, and the warm light wrapped around him. He asked the server for 2 cups of vegetable soup and 2 pieces of bread to go. The server moved quickly and kindly. When Armand returned to the awning, he handed each girl a cup with a lid and a folded paper sleeve, then the bread in small bags. The girls took the cups with 2 hands, careful and grateful. They did not open them right away. "Let it cool a little," Armand said, "so it does not hurt your tongues." They nodded again. He crouched so they could all be at the same height. "My name is Armand," he said. Not the CEO part, not the titles, just the name that had belonged to him since he was small. "What are your names?" The girl with the container said, "I am Zara." The other said, "I am Zoya." Their names sounded like a pair of small lights, close and bright. "Nice to meet you, Zara and Zoya," he said. "Do you live nearby?" Zara looked at Zoya, then back at Armand. "We live on the next block," she said. "Mama works late this week," Zoya added. "We wait until she finishes, then we go home together." Armand listened with full attention. He did not rush to a plan. He did not reach for solutions like tools. He simply let them tell him about their world, small and brave. "Do you go to school?" he asked. Both nodded. "Grade 2, said Zoya. "We like drawing, and numbers," Zara added proudly. The steam from the cups grew softer, and the girls took small sips. Their faces made the kind of smile that begins in the eyes. They broke the bread and shared it in equal pieces. They offered a piece to Armand without even thinking. "For you," Zara said. He felt a gentle surprise and shook his head kindly. "Thank you," he said, "but I already ate. Please enjoy." The twins did not insist. They looked happy to have asked. Armand noticed again the gold flecks in their eyes, the shape of the eyelids, the way the corners lifted when they smiled. A memory echoed in his mind like a note that had been played long ago. He remembered a campus cafe many years earlier, a window seat, a young woman with eyes that caught light in the same way. Her name rose slowly in his thoughts, as if walking, out of a fog. Mira. He had not said that name in years. He felt the sound of it without speaking. It was not a sharp feeling. It was a soft ache, like finding an old photograph in a drawer and touching the edge with a thumb. He pushed the thought aside, gently, not to forget it, but to give space to the present. Armand pulled a folded paper napkin from his coat pocket and set it on his knee. He took a pen out, too. He wrote his first name and a phone number. He added a short message. "If you need help with food, please call. Armand." He showed the napkin to the girls. "This is for your mother," he said. "Only for her. She can call if she wants, no pressure." Zara read the name carefully, her lips moving just a little. Zoya held the napkin like a small letter that mattered. "We will give it to Mama," she promised. The car waited at the curb now. The driver watched without interrupting, respectful and still. Armand did not call the twins into the car. He did not try to change their path. He simply asked, "Do you want me to wait until you cross the street?" It was a simple offer, like holding a door. "We will go when we finish," Zara said. "We want to take some soup for Mama, too," Zoya added, tapping the closed container gently. Armand nodded. "Of course. Take your time." They ate in small sips and bites, not greedy, just glad. The rain became a thin mist, the kind that feels like a whisper on the skin. The restaurant's lamps painted soft circles on the ground. A bus hissed at a stop down the block, then rolled on. A bicycle bell rang twice and faded. The city was not loud now. It was a quiet friend, like a person who sits with you and listens without speaking. Armand watched the twins and thought about how strong small people can be when they are kind to each other. "Do you come here often?" he asked. "Only sometimes," Zoya said. "Not always." Zara added, "We do not like to ask. We only ask when we need to." Armand understood. "Thank you for asking me tonight," he said. "It means a lot to me." The girls looked surprised. People often thanked them for being polite, but not for asking. "Why?" Zara asked softly. Armin searched for words that were true and simple. "Because sharing makes me feel less alone," he said. He did not explain more. He did not need to. The twins nodded, as if they understood more than adults might. When the soup cups were almost empty and the bread was finished, Armin stood and gently shook the rain from his coat. "I will be here again tomorrow," he said, not as a promise but as a sign. "Around this time. If you pass by, I can say hello." The twins looked at each other, then back at him. "We may come," Zoya said. "If Mama finishes late." Armin smiled. "Tell your mother good evening from me," he said. "And tell her my name." Zara held up the napkin. "We will." He walked with them to the edge of the awning and stopped. The sidewalk was slick and shining. He pointed to the crosswalk where the light would change soon. "Wait for the green," he said, like any caring adult would say. Zara nodded. Zoya tucked the napkin carefully into the small plastic container on top of the food, as if protecting it from the mist. The light turned. A soft click sounded from the traffic pole. The twins stepped forward together, shoulder to shoulder, the same small rhythm they had kept all night. Armin waited until they reached the other side. They turned back and waved once, small hands opening and closing like soft shells. He lifted his hand and waved back. Then they were gone. Small figures moving toward their block, toward the person they called Mama, carrying warmth in a bag and a container, and perhaps a little bit in their hearts too. Armin stood under the awning for a moment longer, feeling the quiet fold around him like a blanket that had been warmed by someone else's shoulders. When he slid into the back seat of the car, the driver glanced at him in the mirror with a gentle question in his eyes. Armin only said, "Home, please." The city moved by the window in lines of light and shadow. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes. The gold flecks he had seen in the twins' eyes glowed in his mind like small stars. And then, without warning, the memory of Mira returned again, stronger this time. He saw her laughing in that campus cafe, a paper cup held in both hands the way the twins had held their soup. He saw the tiny gold in her eyes, too. He took out his phone and, without really planning to, opened the old photos he had never deleted. He scrolled slowly. Work trips, meetings, buildings, awards, flights. Then farther back, a graduation, a photo of friends on a sunny lawn. And there, two students at a small table by a window, a girl holding a cup, a boy leaning in to listen. He touched the screen lightly. The light in her eyes, the shape, the calm way she held herself. It matched the twins in a way that made his breath catch for a moment. He did not jump to answers. He only felt a soft pull inside that was part wonder and part fear of hoping too much. The car reached his building. The doorman opened the door with a greeting, and Armin returned the smile. He rode the morning came with soft light and a thin line of gold on Armin's curtains. He woke before his alarm. The quiet felt different today. It did not feel empty. It felt like a page waiting for words. He sat up slowly and looked at the small card. He had written last night, "Be at the restaurant at the same time, look for the twins, ask their mother's name." The neat letters made him smile. He washed his face, made tea, and stood by the window while the city stretched awake. Cars moved like patient fish in a river of light. He felt a calm he could not name, like a door inside him had opened during the rain. Work, as always, was full. Meetings lined up like frames on a wall, numbers, charts, a new client, a call from a partner in another time zone. But Armin carried, the evening in his back pocket like a warm note. It softened his voice. He said good morning to more people than he usually did. In the lift, he held the door for a young intern who looked surprised and grateful. In the pantry, he refilled the office coffee machine instead of calling for someone to do it. He did not do these small things to be noticed. He did them because it felt natural today to add small pieces of care wherever he stood. At lunch, he ate only a little. He was not hungry. He bought 2 small sketchbooks and a pack of pencils from the shop across the street. The sketchbooks were simple but neat. He imagined little hands opening them, drawing houses with gardens or suns with long rays. He placed the items inside his briefcase as if they were something precious and fragile. In the afternoon, he looked up once and saw a faint cloud move across the sun, and he thought again of 2 little faces turned up toward him under an awning. His driver pulled up to the restaurant at the same time as last night. The rain had gone, but it had washed the city clean, and the sidewalks looked new. The lamps were not yet bright. They were soft and cautious, like the opening notes of music. Armin stepped out, nodded to the doorman, and walked inside. The manager greeted him with a kind, familiar smile. "Welcome back," he said. "Your table by the window?" Armin nodded and took his seat. He ordered a simple dinner and asked the server, "Can you also prepare 2 small bowls of vegetable soup to go? With bread. If you have fruit, 2. Apples, please." The server nodded. "Of course." Armin ate slowly, eyes often wandering to the door. He was not sure the twins would come. He had not asked them to promise anything. He had only said he might be there. He tried to keep his heart cool and patient. He told himself to be grateful for yesterday as it was. But when the door opened and 2 small figures appeared side by side, it felt like a soft light turned on inside him. Zara and Zoya stood near the entrance, looking toward him. When they saw him raise his hand in hello, they came forward with small steps, the way careful children walk when they are unsure if they may cross a special floor. "Hello, Armin," Zoya said in a voice that remembered his name and placed it gently in the air. "Hello?" Zara echoed, with a smile that showed trust. Armin stood and met them at the door. "I am glad to see you," he said. "How was your day?" They each gave tiny reports like small news anchors. "We had math," said Zara. "I like adding." "We had art," said Zoya. "I drew a tree with birds." Armin took the sketchbooks from his briefcase and held them out. "I brought you something for drawing and writing," he said, "if your mother says it is okay." The twins' eyes brightened. They touched the covers with the tips of their fingers. "We will ask Mama," Zoya promised. "Thank you." The server arrived, with the 2 bowls and bread all in neat paper bags. "These are for you," Armin said. "You can take them home again. There are also apples." The twins stood straighter. "We will share with Mama," said Zara. "She said to tell you thank you." Armin felt his chest warm. "She got the note?" he asked gently. Zoya nodded. "Yes." She read it. "She said thank you for being kind. She said we should not trouble you." Armin smiled. "It is no trouble. It makes me happy to see you." The girls looked at each other with a tiny secret smile, like birds sharing a seed. They all stepped outside under the awning for a moment, the same small square of space as the night before, now dry and soft. The street had a gentle hum. Armin crouched to their level again. "Do you walk home alone?" he asked, careful to keep his voice calm and not heavy. "Only this block," Zara said. "Mama waits near the corner. She finishes a little later this week." "Where does your mother work?" Armin asked, not pushing, just placing the question down and stepping back. "In a hotel kitchen," Zoya said. "She helps with salads and plates and cleaning. She is very fast." The pride in her voice made Armin smile again. "She sounds very skilled," he said. "Do you read stories?" he asked. "We like stories," Zara said. "Our teacher reads at the end of the day," Zoya added. Today's story was about a fox and a star. Armin nodded as if this were important business, because it was. He thought of his own childhood, sitting with his mother while she read to him, words floating like boats across the room. The twins opened the sketchbooks and drew a quick little shape on the first page of each, a tiny circle with rays. "So we remember this day," Zoya said. Armin watched their hands as they drew. He noticed again the curve of their eyes, the small gold near the center. He remembered a girl at a campus cafe. He felt the memory step closer now. Mira, with her calm voice and steady gaze. Mira, who had once told him, "Love is a quiet promise you make again and again." They had been young. He had been offered an internship in another country. She had wanted to finish her degree near her family. They had tried to bridge the distance with messages and calls, but life had moved them like two boats on different currents. Their last words had been kind, but they had still been last words, and that fact had always left a soft, unfinished line in his heart. He had not thought of her in a long time, not because he did not care, but because the days had arranged themselves, like bricks in a high wall, now with two small faces in front of him that held light in the same way. He felt the wall soften. He did not try to run through it. He did not make a plan. He only breathed and noticed. "Did your mother say she might call?" he asked carefully. Zoya nodded. "She said she might, when she is free," she answered. "She said to say thank you again, and that we should go home early today." Armin looked toward the corner. "Would you like me to walk you to where she waits?" he asked. The girls looked at each other. Zara nodded slowly. "Yes, please," she said. "Just to the corner." They walked together, the twins in the middle, Armin on the side nearest the street without even thinking about it. He carried the small bag with apples so the girls could hold the soup bowls with two hands. They talked about simple things, a science project about plants, a school friend who could skip very fast, a song their teacher played on Fridays. The city glowed in soft, early evening colors. A shopkeeper lowered a metal shutter halfway and called a good night to someone across the street. A cat, neat and confident, walked along a fence like a tightrope dancer. At the corner, the twins stopped. Zara pointed down the block. "Mama will come from that way," she said. "We can see her from here." Armin did not step farther. "Then I'll say good night here," he said. "Thank you for letting me walk with you." Zoya lifted the sketchbook and held it to her chest. "Thank you for this," she replied. "We will draw a tree with birds tonight." "And a star," Zara added, serious and sweet. They waved and moved toward a bench near the streetlight. Armin watched until he saw a woman in a simple coat turning the corner, walking fast with the tired grace of someone who carries a day on her shoulders and still keeps her head level. He could not see her face. He did not try to. He did not want to look like a person who stared. He took a quiet step back and returned to the restaurant entrance. He felt peace. He felt patience. He felt that the story would tell him what to do next, if he listened. At home, the night was kind. Armin did not turn on the television. He turned the lamp low and placed one of the apples on a small plate in the kitchen, as if to keep a piece of the evening close. He opened a box in his closet that held old things, a graduation program, a postcard from a city he had visited long ago, a ribbon from a charity run, and a small envelope with photos from university. He placed the photos on the table and looked at them in no hurry. There he was, young, bright-eyed, stepping into a future that felt endless. And there she was, Mira, standing with him at a campus gate, smiling without showing all her teeth, the way she always did, as if saving a secret for someone special. He touched the corner of the photo. He did not feel regret like a sharp stone. He felt a soft wish to do better with the moments in front of him now. He put the photos away, washed his hands, and made chamomile tea. The steam curled in the air like writing only the heart can read. His phone lay face down on the table. When it buzzed, he flipped it over. Unknown number. He let it buzz once more, then answered. "Hello?" he said, voice calm. There was a small, careful silence, the kind that holds breath. Then a woman's voice, gentle and steady, said, "Good evening. Is this Armin?" The way she said his name made the room change shape. He sat up straighter. "Yes," he said softly. "This is Armin." "Zara and Zoya gave me your note," the woman said. "They told me you were kind to them yesterday, and today. I wanted to say thank you." Her tone carried grace, and also the careful space of a person who does not wish to take more than she should. Armin felt the cafe near the park was small, bright, and simple. The windows were clean, and a row of plants sat on the sill like quiet guests. Armin arrived 10 minutes early and chose a table by the glass. He ordered tea and kept his hands around the warm cup as if warmth could help him be brave in a good way. Outside, the park trees moved gently, and the sky had the soft color of late afternoon. The world did not feel loud or heavy. It felt careful, as if it knew that two people were about to speak in a way that could change many things. When the bell over the door made a light sound, he looked up. Mira stood there, simple and graceful in a plain coat, her hair pulled back, her eyes calm and bright. Time had touched her with kindness. She looked like herself, the same person he remembered. From years ago, only steadier, like a song that had learned to hold its own rhythm. She saw him and smiled. It was not a big smile. It was her true one, the one that lives in the eyes first. "Hello, Armin," she said softly. "Hello, Mira," he replied, standing up. He pulled the chair back for her, and she sat. He took his seat again and waited. They looked at each other for a heartbeat that felt like both a pause and a welcome. "Thank you for meeting me," she began. "I was not sure if calling you was the right thing, but I wanted to say thank you for being kind to the girls." "I'm glad you called," he said. "They are wonderful." Mira nodded. "They are good girls," she agreed, a quiet pride in her voice. "Life has not always been simple, but they hold kindness like a compass." The server came and took her order. She asked for tea with milk. When the server left, the two of them let the quiet sit with them like a friend. It was not an uncomfortable silence. It was a careful one, the kind you use to open a door slowly so it does not creak. "I saw something in their eyes," Armin said gently, his voice steady. "A small gold light near the center. I have seen that light before." Mira met his gaze without looking away. "Yes," she said. "I know." He did not rush to ask a bigger question. He picked up his cup and set it down again. "How have you been?" he asked instead, and he meant it. "Since those days?" Mira folded her hands on the table. "I have been working," she said. "I finished my degree later than planned. I moved back to the city. I found work in hotel kitchens because I am fast with my hands and I can make plates look pretty even when time is short. I have been learning to be steady for two girls who need steady." "You are steady," Armin said with respect in his voice. "I can hear it in how you speak." She smiled a little. "And you?" she asked. "Your name is in the news sometimes. I know you are successful." He nodded. "Work grew and kept growing," he said. "I made plans and they turned into buildings and teams, but success is not the same as full." He held the edge of the table with his fingers. "I realized that more clearly 2 nights ago. Her tea arrived and she wrapped her hands around the cup. For a moment, they both watched the small circle of steam. Then Mira lifted her eyes. "We were young when we said goodbye," she said, not blaming, only remembering. We both thought we were doing the right thing. We were gentle with each other, but we still went in different directions. Armin nodded. I think about that sometimes, he said. I kept your photos. I did not look at them often, but I kept them. I kept one of us too, she whispered, and he felt his heart move in his chest like a quiet step on a wooden floor. She took a breath. This is the part that is not easy to say, she continued, calm but careful. After we said goodbye, I learned I was pregnant. I tried to call you, but I did not have your new number. You had already left for your internship. I wrote an email to the address I had, but it bounced. I spoke to a friend of yours, but he thought you were in a place with limited phone. Time moved. I told myself I would find you when I had a clear plan. Then I spilled tea on my only notebook with your last address. It looked small at the time, but small things can stop a path. I was scared to bring trouble to a busy life you were building, so I chose to walk with this news alone. She watched his eyes to see if he would be angry or sad or cold. He was none of those. He was only present, and his voice stayed steady. You must have carried a lot, he said. I'm sorry I was not there. You did not know, she replied. I had help from my family for a while. Then I learned where I could earn and how to make the most of little things. The girls were born strong. They were small, but they held on to life with both hands. She smiled, and a memory passed through her face like light through water. They grew, and they were kind from the start. Armin listened so fully that the room seemed to get quiet around them. How old are they now? He asked softly. 7, she said. They turned 7 last month. We had a small party at home, a cake from the store, and I drew 2 stars on it with icing. They laughed as if it were the best cake in the world. I wish I had known, he said. I wish I had been there, not to change the cake, but to clap with them. Mira's eyes softened. I am telling you now because they met you in their own way. They asked for leftovers, yes, but they also found a person. And when I saw the sketchbooks and heard your name, I knew the path had opened again. I did not keep you away to punish you. I was trying to keep our life calm. I wanted to tell you when I could trust that the sharing would be safe for their hearts. Now I think it is time. Armin placed his palm flat on the table, not reaching for her, just grounding himself. Are they my daughters? He asked, the words gentle and round. Yes, Mira said. And in that one syllable there was no fear, no trick, only truth. They are yours too. The room did not spin. It steadied. The sound of cups, the soft talk from other tables, a laugh from the counter, all those small cafe sounds came back into the frame. Armin felt a warmth begin behind his ribs. Not wild, not rushing, but steady, like a lamp being turned up to a clear glow. He did not jump from his chair. He did not raise his voice. He simply let a few tears stand bright in his eyes and blinked them away without shame. Thank you for telling me, he said. Thank you for taking care of them. Thank you for being brave again and again. Mira nodded and her eyes shone too. I did what I could, she said. Sometimes what I could was small. But I tried to make sure love stayed large. It did, he said. I can see it in them. They sat with the truth between them like a new table they both owned. After a small pause, Armin spoke again. I would like to be in their lives, he said, not to take anything away, not to make big changes too fast. I want to add steadiness, not noise. I can help with food and school, with time and attention. Mira inhaled slowly and let it out. What I want most is kindness and patience, she said. If you can give those, we can build the rest. We can set gentle rules. We can move slowly so the girls feel safe. We can tell them the truth in simple words, in a way that makes their hearts feel protected. Armin nodded. Yes, he said. We can move at their pace. We can meet at the park and the cafe. We can draw together. We can read. We can make a small schedule on paper, and we can change it when needed." Mira looked relieved. "We will also need practical help," she added, honest and calm. "I work long hours. I am careful with money. But school fees, shoes, doctor visits, these things add up. I have managed, and I will keep managing. But if you want to share this, we can make a plan that is clear and kind." "We will make that plan," Armin said quickly, but still gentle. "Not just one time, but as a habit. I can also set something for their future. A fund for school. It does not have to involve you signing anything right now. It can be simple. We can talk to a counselor or advisor together, so it feels fair and safe." Mira's shoulders eased. "Thank you," she said. "I want them to know that both their parents care, that they can count on two hands for support, not one." They spoke for a long time, not about big drama, but about small, clear steps. They chose a day to meet at the park with the girls and share snacks. They decided they would not use big new words like "father" right away. They would simply say, "This is Armin, our friend who cares about you." And then, when the time felt right, they would add more truth gently, like adding water to tea without spilling. "Would you like to see them this weekend?" Mira asked. "Saturday morning? We can feed the ducks at the park pond. They like to name the ducks even though the ducks don't answer." "I would like that," he said, and the smile that came to his face felt as natural as breathing. "I will bring bread for the ducks and bananas for two artists I know." She laughed softly, that old, warm sound that had once been a constant in his days. "They will like that," she said. "They liked the sketchbooks. They drew stars last night." The light outside was turning to gold. The cafe filled with a few more people, a soft crowdedness that made the room feel safe. They finished their tea and stood. For a moment, they did not move. They only looked at each other with respect, gratitude, and careful hope. "I want to say one more thing," Armin said. "I am not here to fix the past. I am here to learn the present and build the future with you and them in the way that is best for them. That is all I ask," Mira said. "We will do it step by step." They walked out together. The park was a green mirror for the sky. Children played near the swings. A boy flew a small kite that wobbled and then found the wind. They stood near the path, and a quiet peace settled over them. "Do you remember the campus cafe?" he asked with a C. Saturday morning came bright and clear. The park looked fresh, as if it had washed its face and put on a soft green shirt. Birds hopped on the grass. The pond was smooth like glass, and a light breeze drew little ripples that ran in circles and then disappeared. Armin arrived a little early. He carried a paper bag with sliced bread for the ducks and 2 bananas for the twins. He wore a simple sweater and the calm that comes from making a promise and wanting to keep it well. He chose a bench near the pond where the sun warmed the wood. He watched a child in a red cap try to fly a small kite. The kite tumbled, then rose, then wobbled, then rose again. Armin smiled. It felt like a picture of how new things begin. Shaky at first, then steady with patience. "Armin!" 2 voices called. He turned and saw Zara and Zoya running in small, careful steps, so they would not drop what they carried. Mira walked behind them at a calm pace, her hands in her coat pockets, her eyes soft and bright in the morning light. "Hello," Armin said, standing and smiling. "I'm happy you are here." The twins reached him and held up 2 small things, like gifts. "We brought crumbs from breakfast," Zara said. "And we brought a story to tell you," Zoya added, eyes sparkling. "Perfect," Armin replied. "I brought bread for the ducks and bananas for 2 artists. And I brought ears that listen." They all sat. Armin placed the bag by his feet and broke the bread into pieces. The twins did the same with their crumbs. The ducks came slowly at first, then with quiet confidence, like guests who know they are welcome. The girls laughed softly when the ducks quacked in reply as if saying thank you in their own way. Mira sat on the end of the bench and watched the three of them with a calm smile, the kind of smile that grows when a plan is working. Not loudly, but truly. "What is your story?" Armand asked. He did not hurry the words. He let the day be gentle. Zoya touched the edge of her sketchbook. "Last night we drew a tree with birds," she said. "We gave each bird a name. One is Star, one is Brave, one is Listen, and one is Apple," Zara added, serious and proud. "Because of the apples you gave." Armin laughed softly, not too loud, just enough to show that his heart had opened. "Those are the best names I have heard," he said. "May I see?" They turned the pages toward him. The tree spread across a full page, branches wide, leaves like little hearts. The birds sat on different branches, each with tiny eyes and small lines for wings. Under each bird was a name in careful writing. Star, Brave, Listen, Apple. The letters were not perfect, but they were honest. "You are very good at drawing," Armin said. "You see the world with kind eyes." The twins glowed at the praise. Mira watched, and a soft relief settled in her shoulders. She passed Armin a glance that said thank you without words. He met her eyes and gave a small nod that said, "I am here." They fed the ducks, ate the bananas, and walked slowly around the pond. Armand let the twins set the pace. They were curious about everything: a leaf with a special shape, a bench with a carved name, a dog with a blue scarf. He answered every question he could, and when he did not know an answer, he said, "Let's guess together." And they made guesses and laughed. "Do you have ducks near your house?" Zoya asked. "No," Armand said, "but I have a big window where the sky looks very close. Maybe you can visit one day if your mother says it is okay. We can draw the sky." Mira listened. She did not rush the moment. She let the idea sit in the air like a small balloon. "We can think about that soon," she said gently. "Step by step." They sat again. Armin took a small notebook from his pocket and drew a simple shape, a little paper boat floating on waves. "This is for you," he said, tearing the page neatly. "A boat that does not sink because it is made of promises." "What promise?" Zara asked, eyes wide. "The promise to show up," Armand answered. "The promise to listen. The promise to be patient." They held the paper boat like it was real, like it could carry 2 small passengers and 1 big wish across a bright pond. The morning felt full and easy, like a good song that everyone knows the words to. After the park, they walked to the small cafe and had warm milk and tea. The twins colored on napkins while Mira and Armin spoke in quiet tones about next steps. They chose 2 days each week for small visits. One after school at the park, one on Saturday morning for drawing and reading. They agreed to bring simple snacks, fruit, bread, cheese, and sometimes cookies if everyone had eaten well. They decided on a rule that Armin liked very much. "No big gifts without talking," Mira said kindly. "No surprises that are too big for small hearts." "No big surprises," Armin agreed. "Only small, steady ones." The first week went smoothly. On Wednesday, Armin waited at the school gate with Mira. The twins came out with backpacks that bounced against their shoulders. They ran, then slowed, then ran again, practicing the art of being both happy and safe. Armand carried one backpack to the park and listened to a long, delightful story about a class pet, a turtle, who moved slow but won a race in a classroom game because everyone else forgot the finish line. He clapped when he was supposed to, clapped and looked surprised when he was supposed to look surprised, and the girls beamed because he understood the rules of their world. On Saturday, they met at the pond again. This time Armin brought a gentle trick. He folded a napkin into a tiny heart with 2 steps and a smile. The twins learned the fold and made 4 hearts each. A little army of soft white shapes lined up on the bench like a parade of kindness. Mira took a photo on her simple phone. She sent it to Armin with a small note. They are very happy. In the second week, Armin met their teacher for a moment during pickup. They are bright and kind, the teacher said. They help other students. They ask good questions. Armin felt his chest fill with quiet pride. Later, he asked Mira if he could help with school fees, school shoes, and the after-school art club. They talked through the details at the cafe table with paper, numbers, and shared care. They picked a plan that felt fair. Armin set up a simple, steady way to help every month. He did it not to impress, but to support, like a beam under a floor. You cannot see, but you can feel when you stand on it. Time moved in gentle steps. They kept the routine. They added small things that made the routine feel like a warm nest. On Fridays, they made funny fruit faces with banana smiles and grape eyes. On Wednesdays, they played a game called Two Truths and a Wish. The twins told 2 true things about their day and 1 wish for tomorrow. Armin listened as if each word was a precious bead. He shared his truths, too. I made a mistake in a meeting and then fixed it, he said once, and the girls looked, surprised that grown-ups can say such things with calm. He shared a wish. I wish I will keep my promise to arrive on time next week. And he did. One evening, near the end of the second month, Mira sent a message. Can we talk tomorrow about the next step? Armin felt the air in his room grow, still in a hopeful way. The next day, they met at the cafe without the twins. The room was warm, the light was easy, the cups made soft sounds on the table. They are ready, Mira said simply. They ask many questions about you. We have built trust. We can tell them the fuller truth now, but we will use words that are calm and loving. Armin nodded. He felt steady, the way a tree feels steady when the ground is kind. How should we say it? He asked. We will say this, Mira replied, thinking with care. We will tell them, this is Armin. He has always cared, even when he did not know he needed to. He is not just a friend. He is your father. He will not rush you. He will be here, step by step. We will tell them that love is not a test. It is a daily action. The next afternoon, they all sat together in the small living room of Mira's home. The walls were simple and clean. A small shelf held 3 plants. The twins sat on the floor with their sketchbooks open but did not draw yet. They looked at their mother and then at Armin and felt that something important was about to be said. Mira spoke first, slowly and softly. You know that Armin cares about you, she said. You feel it in the way he listens and shows up. The twins nodded. We want to tell you something special and true, Mira continued. Armin is your father. The room was very quiet. The refrigerator hummed. A drop of water tapped from the sink and stopped. Zara blinked. Zoya looked at her sister, then at Armin. Their faces did not show fear. They showed thought. The kind of thinking that happens when a piece of a puzzle finally finds its place. Does that mean the stories do not change? Zara asked after a breath. The stories we tell and the games we play? The stories stay, Armin said, voice low and warm. And we will make more. I will keep showing up. I will be kind and patient. You can ask me anything. Can we still go to the park on Saturday? Zoya asked, very serious, as if this was the true test. Yes, Armin said. We can go on Saturday. We can feed the ducks. We can name them again. The twins looked at each other. Zoya's mouth bent up at the corner. Zara's eyes lifted at the edges. Then they both moved at the same time, as they often did, and leaned forward until they were wrapped around Armin's arms in a small, careful hug. It was not tight. It was not loud. It was a hello hug, the kind given when a new word settles into a home and decides to stay. Can we call you Armin? Zara asked, her cheek still near his sleeve. You can call me whatever feels right, he said. You can call me Armin for now. When you wish to change it, you can. There is no rush. They nodded. They sat back down and finally drew. They drew a bigger,